Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Healthy Mentality Live. I have a great guest here tonight. Before we get started, please like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Please share. And first order of business is I am not a medical professional. Neither is Jamie. As Jamie would say, he's a Jamie expert and not a medical expert. If you hear anything that you like, please write it down and talk to your medical professional about it. We are just offering our perspectives and experience. And with that said, I am going to bring Jamie to the stage. Welcome, Jamie. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you for joining us. Been following up on your story and learning a lot about you. So I hopefully I have some great questions to ask you. I've been pouring over your content to come up with some questions. So I have a list here. So we'll go through those, but if the conversation goes a different way, then it goes a different way. And I just want to say, you are the man. I know so many people in the community call me the GOAT over here on YouTube, or the man, which reminds me of a Robin Harris skit. He's one of my favorite comedians. He did a skit years ago. He's deceased now, but there's a skit where he's talking about a church and a piccolo player, and someone says something out of order, and the preacher goes out to the crowd and asks who said that, and everyone's saying it wasn't me. I'm just the man sitting next to the man, and then it goes down the line. I'm the man sitting next to the man, sitting next to the man, sitting next to the man, sitting next to the goddamn man. So you are the goddamn man tonight. So I appreciate you joining us. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I mean, how could I ever introduce myself after that and not come across? Hello, everyone. I'm Jamie Selzler. Uh, I uh, I'm really honored to be here. Thank you so much. I've gone back. I loved your videos. I saw your interview with Jess, who's a great guy who I got to meet at the Obesity Action Coalition in DC a few months back. So, for those who don't know me, my name is Jamie. I used to weigh over 650 pounds. I've lost 350. I use the GLP-1 medication, Zepbound, and I just started sharing my story a few months ago. I started was on a big podcast, and they said, "Hey, you should probably create a social media account because people are going to want to talk to you and look for you, and if you don't create something, they're going to find your phone number." So, like, all right, so I started posting TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, and here I am. And it's been a really cool journey sharing my story with everyone. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. So as you mentioned, you started your journey at 652 pounds. And what was the moment where you said enough is enough?
So I had three things happen right around the same time. These were all within maybe a month of each other. I don't remember the exact order other than the last one. But so I officiate weddings. Well, I'm retired now. I've done seven of them, but just for friends or family. So I officiated my sister's wedding, and it was on a beach in Florida, and very sandy beach near Destin. And I walked out, and we did the wedding, and it was great. And I had I had not been on a beach in years. I had avoided it. I used to go to Cancun all the time, and I'm like, I just avoided the sand. And even when I'd gone on the beach in those places, it was way easier. So this sand in Florida was super soft, very fluffy. I fell and I couldn't get up.
Mm.
And I was absolutely terrified because I'm just imagining, we had our wedding party, which is 20 of us, but it's a public beach, so there's lots of people there.
Yeah.
And as I was laughing and haha, trying to make a joke of it, but I was thinking, all it would take is one person, pulling their camera out, and next thing you know, I'm famous. I'm the beached whale, the guy who couldn't
Oh
get up
no.
on the beach. And so I was kind of terrified while that was happening. Fortunately, someone was able to get me up. This power lifter dude got me up. Then, not long after that, I was having dinner with some friends, and one of them, who's 73 or 74, pulled me aside after dinner and said, "Hey, Jamie, I want you to go to my funeral. I don't want to go to yours." And when you are in your early 40s and a guy in his 70s tells you that he's going to your funeral, that was a wake up call when I started looking around and realizing that no one my size was still alive in their 50s. They were all dead.
Yeah.
And I realized that's where I was heading. And then the last thing was I was by myself. It was of the three, the one I was alone. I got stuck on a toilet. I could not physically get up off the toilet. I was too big and too weak. And I sort of had the feeling like, am I gonna die this way? Not am I gonna die right now? Worst case, I would fall on the ground and crawl somewhere. But is there going to be a situation like this where my immobility is going to prevent me from getting the help that I need?
Yeah.
And realized, okay, so my worst case is not being dead in 5 years. It's that I'm going to be immobile. I will be
Yeah.
just on the bed all the time. And realized that I didn't want to die young. And if I was going to die young, at least I was going to die trying to make my life better. So I started the process to move my body more, lost a little bit of weight, and then later on started a GLP-1.
Nice. Great story there. So you lose 350 pounds.
Yeah.
What was the hardest part? The physical part of getting started or the mental part?
Oh, the mental part, and it's something I talk about often, which is there are two parts of this that I think are really tough mentally. First was admitting that you need help. I'm a very confident person, fairly proud. I don't like asking for help. I lost 50 pounds without a GLP-1, and but I was battling the food noise constantly. It was just a constant battle. And I knew that I was going to get it back. So to go to my doctor and say I need help, that was the first hurdle. Then I started, and I didn't lose anything my first 3 months on a GLP-1, which in hindsight I'm very, very grateful for that happened, because now it allows me to talk to people and let them know, hey, it's what you always hear, that people take a shot on Monday and they're skinny by Wednesday. That's not the reality.
Yeah.
And I was living proof of that. But beyond that, I realized this is going to take a long time. We always want things to be fast, and I had a realization, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months in. Once I realized this, I wasn't going to lose 20 pounds a week like I thought I was going to
Yeah.
necessarily. I realized that this was going to take years. This was going to be like a 5-year thing if I include how much time it's going to take me to lose, time I'll have a skin removal and the recovery from that, and to go from the very beginning to the end, whatever the end is, it's going to be 5 years. And that was very difficult emotionally to do. Once I accepted that, though, and I said, you know what, I guess if it takes 5 years or whatever, it's what it's going to take. Once I fully accepted that, it all got so much easier at that point.
Yeah.
Because then I never felt any pressure to get certain numbers on the scale. I didn't have a goal weight. I still don't. Never really cared about the number on the scale. It's just a metric that tells me how I'm doing. And because I accepted it was going to take a while, it freed me of all of the stuff that I now see everyone struggle with all the time, about the number on the scale and about the clothes and about what people are saying. And I was untethered from that,
Yeah.
which gave me the freedom to just start improving my body and improving my mindset in ways I didn't think possible before.
I love that. Um, like I said, I've looked over a lot of your content before, and you said success didn't come from the perfect plan, but a mindset shift.
Yeah.
What changed in how you viewed yourself and what was possible?
Uh, I developed, I talk about a mindset shift and how you change your mindset. And the truth is, what I did for me isn't necessarily going to work for everyone. And I try to, both physically or in terms of mindset, and I try to give, um, like you said, I'm only a Jamie expert. And it's not like I started this process and said, I'm going to come up with Jamie's 4 rules, and these
Yeah.
4 rules are going to be so fantastic. And that's not how it worked. I just started doing things, and at some point, I looked back and I thought, okay, what's different? I mean, I've lost weight before. other than a GLP-1, what's different this time? And I knew that my mindset had changed significantly
Yeah.
from the previous times I tried to lose weight. And so I kind of realized I had these 4 rules to myself. Only one was intentional at the beginning, which was that I was going to keep the promises that I made to myself. And we so often, like, we're good at keeping promises to other people, people we love, employers, whatever. We keep our promises, especially to the people in our lives, because that's how you prove love. And I always say that, like, loving someone isn't the words you say necessarily, it's the actions. And the most sacred action of love is keeping a promise to a person. That's what a vow is in a wedding. And I realized I had to start keeping promises to myself. So I only made promises I knew I could keep, because I've had a history of broken promises. And I still break promises to
Yeah.
myself sometimes, but because we all do, we're all human, but nothing like what it was before. So I just started doing things like, if I'm going to walk 1,000 steps a day, that's a promise to myself. And everything else gets prioritized after the promise I made to myself. And that's how the mindset shift started for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember you talking about that before. One of the promises, I believe, yours, you made a promise to yourself to take a sip of water every time you stood up and sat down.
Yep.
So just doing little things like that over and over to build trust in yourself, to make sure you're keeping that promise. I love that.
Well, I think one of the biggest mistakes that anyone makes when they're trying to lose weight, or really any sort of lifestyle change, is you do all the things at once. And I've had so many great Mondays where, you're going to start Monday. And on Monday, I'm going to eat better, and I'm going to work out, and I'm going to get my water and my sleep, and, all the stuff that we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And you start Monday, and Monday's great, and Tuesday you're dragging a little bit, and by Wednesday I was failing. So I had a lot of great Mondays and bad Wednesdays. And people, when they're trying to change their lives, they just try to change everything at once, and it doesn't work. It
Yeah.
doesn't work. And I can tell someone, even with love and compassion, like, if you have weight issues and you think you're going to fix it all on a Monday by starting everything over again, it is not going to work. You're going to fail.
Yeah.
And I know you're going to fail, because you would not be in the situation you're in if that worked all the other times. What's
Yeah. True.
different this time? Probably nothing. So instead, take that stress and pressure off yourself and just pick one thing. Just I always say, one thing you can do on your busiest day. And if on your busiest day you can take a drink of water every time you stand up, or you can go for a 5-minute walk every time you eat, whatever it is, do that one thing for a month or a week or 3 months, however long it takes before that thing becomes your life. And then you add another thing. And that's how you change your life over time. The problem with that is it takes time. That takes longer.
Yeah.
And so we envision that, hey, I'm going to change everything next week, and I'm going to get the results I want really quickly. And when you challenge someone with that and say, no, just change one thing, and it's going to take 10 times longer than you want it to, they don't want that. They want super fast. But I would say that I would much rather have long and successful than brief and failed a bunch of times.
Yeah.
So that's how you need to create new habits and change your life.
Yeah. You're giving up great information there. I love that. So you said you lost 50 pounds before you started the GLP-1. Was there ever a consideration of bariatric surgery?
I had considered it, um, and I'll tell you this: I wish I had done it. In hindsight, I knew that losing weight, you're going to feel better.
Yeah.
I had I had no concept that I would feel this much better. I I didn't quite understand how much better you could feel. I thought you'd be marginally better.
Yeah.
And so if I knew I could have felt like this 15 years ago, I would have had a bariatric surgery. But I didn't, for 2 reasons. One is, um, I can do this on my own. For me, a bariatric surgery would be admitting failure. uh, much like starting a GLP-1 was admitting failure, is kind of how I viewed it.
Yeah.
Neither of them are. Both of them are just using tools like everyone else has.
Yeah.
But second, and I think that was overriding, that I was just really scared. I was scared that I would die during a surgery. I was scared about the recovery. I was scared of the pain. And so it was a combo of I can do this on my own, and why would I, and I'm scared to do this. So why would I do something that I can do on my own? But I sure wish I had had a bariatric surgery 15 or 20 years ago. I don't regret it. I'm happy with where things are now.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I lived long enough for a GLP-1 to come along to help save my life,
Yeah. These
because
things are
yeah,
amazing.
they are. And the reality is, I think I got almost too big for a bariatric surgery at 650 pounds, where I would have had substantial risk in the surgery at that point.
Yeah.
But if I would have done this when I was 500, it may have been a better option at that time.
Yeah. I've had two of them, so I know what you mean. Um, you mentioned you feel better now. Was there any health conditions that you were dealing with at the time at your larger weight that have resolved or have nearly resolved since you've dropped 350?
Yeah. Sleep apnea. I had extreme sleep apnea. So, you do the sleep study where you have
Yeah.
how many times do you wake up per hour for 10 seconds or more?
Yeah.
And my number was like 97 times or something. Like, it was like during the sleep study, she came and woke me up after 20 minutes, and she's like, I can't let you sleep right now without a CPAP.
Wow.
And so I had really severe sleep apnea. That I am convinced is significantly better. I need to get a sleep study done to be sure. But I have an Apple Watch. I've fallen asleep a few times without my CPAP, and it doesn't trigger any sleep apnea, and I
Yeah.
feel great waking up. So I just need to get a sleep study done soon, which I probably will next month. And then I had high blood pressure, which is now fine.
Yeah.
But the reality is, um, I was heading for a catastrophic medical situation. And I always talk about this. I have love and respect and empathy and compassion for everyone. Who Our value, our worth as a human being is not tied at all to the size of our body. I
Exactly.
truly believe that, and I always will. That said, I also don't believe in a healthy at any size thing, or healthy at every size. I think at any given point, for someone who's carrying some extra weight, you can be healthy in the moment.
Yeah.
But at some point, you have to pay the piper,
Yeah.
and it catches up to us. And what I've seen is that it doesn't catch up like, hey, you have a little thing here, and then a few years later, this thing. It's sort of, you go off a cliff. You
Yeah.
go off a cliff of health, where you start having major cardiac issues or cancer or something else. Or you have a medical condition that's unrelated to your weight. Maybe you are get into an accident or a fall or whatever, where your size now complicates your ability to get treated. And so while I didn't have anything severe, it was just a matter of time. And it's why I really encourage people, you can love and respect yourself regardless of your size and still take steps to be in a healthier body.
Yeah.
And I'm a big dude. I don't want to be thin. I will always be a big dude. I will always be at risk for weight related medical complications. But I think they're much more treatable now because my size is significantly smaller.
Definitely. Definitely. Was there a moment where you said to yourself that this time is different?
Yeah. I'll try not to get emotional about this stuff. I guess there are two. I'll give two moments. One was mental, one was physical. Although I guess everything's tied together. But I used to go to McDonald's on every Sunday morning. It was just my go-to thing. Every Sunday morning, I go to McDonald's. I buy a truly obnoxious amount of food, and I would get I'd get four sandwiches typically, and like a orange juice, and it's probably a 3,000 calorie breakfast. And I would do it every Sunday for years, even after I started a GLP-1. Once I'd been on a GLP-1 for like maybe 6 weeks, I was driving to McDonald's like I did on every Sunday morning. And on the way, I just stopped and I asked myself, like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? You don't really want this. This is pure habit for you. You're not even hungry. And I pulled into a parking lot and I had a little conversation with myself, like we sometimes do. And I turned around and I went home, and I've not been back to McDonald's since. And that was over 2 years and 3 months ago. And I had never done anything like that before. I had never stopped myself midway to eating like that. So that was one major thing. And then not long after that, I was with a friend of mine, one of my best friends, and we went hiking. At this point, I was 550 pounds. I tell people like my biggest non-scale victory happened when I was still at one of my largest sizes at 550. And we went walking up this hill, and it's one of the taller points in Minnesota, which isn't saying much because Minnesota is really flat. But we went walking up there, and it's like a 3/4 of a mile one way. And most people, it takes them 15, 20 minutes because it's uphill.
Yeah.
And it took me a while. It took me about 45 minutes. I remember yelling at my friend, go without me, leave me behind, leave me here to die by myself. But I got up there. I got to the top of this hill. And I'd never accomplished anything like that in my entire life. And I got up there and I remember thinking in my head, like, nobody my size has ever walked up this hill. No one my size has ever been up here before. And it felt pretty amazing, to be honest. Like it felt like I'd making history. And so over the course of a few weeks, I had said no to a food habit that I had for 15 years. Even when I lived in England, I used to go to McDonald's.
Yeah.
I'd said no to a food habit I had for 15 years and then did something physically that should have been impossible for me. And I realized that this was going to be different than every other time in the other 1,000 times I'd lost weight in the past. And I still feel that way.
I love those two stories. I love that. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
So, speaking about food, what was food noise like for you back then, and how has it changed since starting a GLP-1?
I'm not sure if you've heard my little analogy about Timmy the food noise kid. When I, I've, I have so many food noise analogies. I thought of one today because I was parked by a train, and the train was going by. It was so loud. And I remember thinking, like, food noise is the sound of this train
Yeah.
where it's just always there. But imagine the train never stopped. It was just always there. And sometimes it's a little quieter because it goes slower, and sometimes it's
Yeah.
louder because it goes faster, whatever. And food noise is that train all the time, and you sort of grow used to it. And when it goes away, when the train is gone, it's not there. And food noise is similar. I always talk about an imaginary kid named Timmy. So if you're watching and you don't know what food noise is, and feel free to steal this and use
Yeah.
it with your friends
Yeah.
if they don't understand it. Uh, Imagine you are a parent and you go to a grocery store and you bring your little son with you. We call him Timmy. And you're there buying stuff for dinner, and Timmy sees a candy bar or what cookie or whatever, and Timmy wants it, and you say, "No, Timmy, you can't. We're about to have dinner." And Timmy throws a temper tantrum, and
Yeah.
Timmy starts screaming and like hitting the floor. Timmy is food noise, and food noise will scream in your head until you do something about it. And as a parent with Timmy, you have to decide: do I give in to Timmy so he'll be quiet so I can go about my day? Or do I try to do this stuff with Timmy screaming the whole time? And the vast majority of parents, the vast majority of the time, are just going to give Timmy the cookie
Yeah.
because that's what's necessary at that moment to move on, even though they know it's not the right thing to do. And food noise is Timmy screaming, and a GLP is leaving Timmy at home. I used to say giving up for adoption, but that sounds kind of dark. So, uh, but it's leaving
I
Timmy at
love
home.
that analogy. I
Yeah,
love that.
when you don't have the kids screaming next to you in the grocery store, you can make much better eating decisions when you're, or decisions when you're grocery shopping. And food noise for me is the same thing. It's not like I still eat. I went out for pizza the other night. It was great. I still eat all the stuff I ate before,
Yeah.
but
Same.
now rather than like, well, now it's pizza and wings and breadsticks and 2 liter soda or beer. Now it's like I'm just gonna have some pizza.
Yeah.
And so I still eat all the stuff I ate before, but the food noise allows me to just restrain myself and not do it, not eat like that all the time, like I used
Yeah.
to.
I think that's probably my most favorite thing about this medication. I didn't have a term for it until I started researching a GLP-1 before starting. And I remember taking that after taking that first shot and hearing that noise quiet down. It's such a difference. And unless you experience it, it's hard to explain. But
It
you
really
provided a
is.
great analogy there, though.
Well, when that goes away, I actually made a post about this on TikTok or actually on all the socials today or yesterday about the emotional aspect of food noise going away because it took almost 2 months for my food noise to stop. I had to be at a higher dose for it to work for me. But once it did go away, uh, I got kind of sad. I did not realize how much I was using food as an emotional crutch for everything.
Yeah.
When I was, if I had a great day, celebrate with food. If I was sad, rough day at work, eat with food or eat food to deal with that. If I were bored or lonely, whatever. And I was attaching food to all my emotions, literally all of them. And when I started a GLP-1, the food noise went away and you also get full really fast. And so I could not use food as a drug to deal with my emotions anymore. And that actually made me sad for a little while. I had
Yeah.
a couple of months, maybe a month, where it felt like I'd lost a friend because I'd been relying on it so much.
Yeah.
I've lived all over the world. I've I've been with friends. I've been alone. Food was part of all of it. So when that went away, when the food noise went away with that, it was I wasn't ready for it. No one ever talked about that. I not
Yeah.
heard anyone talk about that feeling,
Yeah.
or if they had, I must have missed it. So I talk about that feeling now because I think when people start a GLP-1, they need to be prepared for it because it will
Yeah.
happen to many of us.
Yeah. I haven't heard anyone talk about it. No, that's a good point. So you mentioned that emotional side. Is there anything that you're doing now to fill that emotional void now, like unhealthier ways, like walking or working out, or
Uh, I I've replaced my food obsession with sort of a health and wellness fitness obsession. Uh, I, I'm just obsessed with everything related to our health, and so food. Like I'm still obsessed with food, but now it's more into like, okay, what is food composed of, and what are the macros, and what are ways to make foods taste better that are still good for you. I'm really focused on things like weightlifting. I lift weights 4 days a week now, and I never. I mean, I've gone to the gym in the past, and I lifted weights in the past, but this was very much a I'm in the driver's seat on improving my body as opposed to in the past I was just did it because I had to. Now it's very much this intrinsic motivation of within myself finding ways to improve this stuff. So yeah, I think that's what I've replaced it with. But I really encourage people to think about plan ahead of time. If you know that when you get sad, you eat, when eating stops being an option for you, think ahead of time of how you're going to replace that. And even write down ideas. I said this earlier today, like write down a menu, a sad menu. Things I
yeah,
can do when I'm sad that will either make me feel better or at least take my time that are not related to food. And then if you're feeling sad and you instead of eating, you can pull that menu out
yeah,
and pick something off of there. And I think that's just a better way of handling it.
yeah. That's a great tip right there. Y'all write that down if you haven't. Um, all right. So you said previously that it was tough to move at at your heaviest. What does it feel like now to have that freedom?
What does it feel like for you? You've lost. How much have you lost?
120.
Okay. How's life different for you now?
It's a whole lot different. I don't know if you know my story. I was college football player, so my body was really beat up from football. I've had 9 surgeries post playing career, so movement and sustaining movement was hard for me, and the inflammation, with the medication addressing the inflammation and allowing me to move more, to stay consistent, going to the gym 6 days a week, hitting the weights 3 days a week. It drove me. It made me feel that freedom. And then as the weight started to come down, it's like the circular thing. As the weight came down, the more I was able to move. So having that ability to move, or go on trips with my wife and climb. We went to the Grand Canyon recently, and being able to go on hikes and all that stuff, and climb up to see the top view without having to, you just go ahead and go, and I'll you take a picture for me and I can see it. But having to going up, being able to go up there myself is something that I wouldn't have been able to do 2 years ago. So it's freedom.
Yeah. I freedom's the right word for it. I sometimes describe it to like being in prison where your body's a prison. Like in my largest size, if I mean when I take a shower, it was I would 5 minutes in, I'd be sweating like I had just run a marathon
Yeah,
because even showering was so physically exhausting for me.
yeah,
I was getting maybe 300 steps a day because I have the data. I still have the data from that. I was getting maybe 300 steps a day, and my body really had become a prison, which also turned my where I lived into a prison because so I'm a really outgoing social person. I
yeah,
really, really like being around people a
yeah,
lot. And it got to the point where it was so difficult to even get ready to go out, and then especially to go out. I was using a walker and a cane at home that I would never leave home with because I just could not allow them. I couldn't be seen with those things. That so I just stopped going out, and my body truly became a prison. And so when I think about like if I did have to go somewhere, I would drive around a parking lot for half an hour. Like I would literally circle a parking lot for half an hour if it meant saving 20 yards or 30 yards in walking. And so I've broken out of prison now. Like I feel like I broke out of prison and there are no consequences. Like no one's coming to chase me
yeah,
down to put me back in. I'm I'm free now. And because of that, I am so full of gratitude. There are no words to describe the gratitude that I have, which means I'm really full of joy because I'd always, man, like I walk, it's 500 steps from my car to my apartment, which is nothing now. There was a time when I couldn't walk that without stopping 2 or 3 times to catch my breath. And now every time I walk even a little bit, like today I had to stop and pick up my GLP at the pharmacy, and it was probably like a 2-minute walk from my car into the pharmacy.
yeah,
And the whole time I'm just ecstatic because walking for 2 minutes is such a gift that I will never take for granted, ever.
yeah,
And so gratitude is my overarching emotion now. It's not even pride. Every now and then someone will come into my live stream and be like, "Oh, you must be so proud of yourself." And my answer is always, like, "Yeah, sort of. Like, yeah, I'm proud." But it's imagine. I talk about it like if you're in a swimming pool and you start drowning and you're going under and you feel like you're not going to make it up, but somehow you do. Somehow you pull yourself out of the pool and you're on the deck next to the pool and you are catching your breath. In that moment, are you proud you got out of the pool? No, you're not really proud. You're just grateful that you didn't die.
yeah,
And that's my feeling now. So There is no movement that I do now, no matter how small, that I'm not eternally grateful for. And I think people often get so focused on the number on the scale or what the future, they think about what the future is going to hold or how great will things be in 6 months or a year from now. But I'm just grateful for today. I was so excited at 550 pounds and I was happy at 500 and 400 and 350, whatever it is, because I could do things at that size I could not do before.
Yeah.
So I imagine at some point I'll be able to do even more than I do now. And I'll be just as happy then as I am today. I'm not holding my happiness off till I get to some arbitrary goal down the line.
I love that. Speaking of walking, there was a question I wanted to ask regarding that. Because you've often said that you don't do cardio,
Yeah.
but you do walk, which is cardio. Can you explain that?
Technically, yeah. I say that because when I say I don't do cardio, what I mean is I don't do anything that gets my heart rate up
Yeah,
very high.
yeah,
Deadlifting does, like a few lifts in the gym get my heart rate up, but not for a sustained time. I don't use any cardio machines. When I say don't do cardio, I mean,
yeah,
you will never find me on an elliptical or a stair climber or rowing machine. And I think whatever someone wants to do, if that's what they like to do, I think that's awesome. I do
yeah.
not. I think I've broken a sweat 5 times in the last 3 years. And all of them would have been because it was really hot outside and I was walking in the heat. It's not because I was running. Although I did run maybe 2 months ago. And I have not even tried to run since I was like in high school. And I was out for a walk and there have been a few times in the last year where I thought like, should I just start jogging now? Like, and then I come to my senses and I don't do it. But I was walking and I walked through like this swarm of hornets or wasps or something like that, and I had a bunch of them around me, and I started running, started running away from them because I thought maybe I'm next to like a hive or whatever. And I don't know how long I ran for, maybe like a minute or two, and I got away from them, and hooray, no stings. But I was uh, I was shocked at how easily I could run. Like I was I thought for sure it would be painful. I thought it would be
Yeah,
hard, and it wasn't.
yeah.
So anyway, that's the time I ran, and I don't think I'll ever do it again, but it was cool at the moment. I'm about weightlifting. I'm
Yeah.
a huge believer in keeping your muscle and adding muscle
Yeah.
as
So
a weight loss
talk about
goal.
that. How big a role has that played in your transformation?
Oh, huge role. And so I think one of the reasons I failed in the past and other people fail is when you think of what fitness looks like, they think it means they imagine like getting on a treadmill for an hour or running a marathon. And people at first when I was listening, like, when are you going to run the marathon? Because that is for many people like the ultimate sign of health. Uh, but so here's when I think I really hurt myself weight wise was 2015. I started a medical weight loss program with my doctor, my then
Hmm.
doctor, at the local hospital. And if anyone in the room or sees this has heard of OptiFast. So what OptiFast is meal replacement shakes and bars. And you do this OptiFast diet where you do meal replacement shakes and bars and then like lean cuisines. And you do that for months. I did it for I think 5 months, 4 or 5 months. And you're at a severe calorie deficit and you're not really doing any working out during that time. And I lost like 100 pounds in 3 months. I lost so much weight so fast. The
Yeah.
problem is, if you are losing weight without keeping your muscle, your body's going to eat your muscle first.
Yeah.
And in the short term, that feels fine because the numbers going down, and that's great. But your muscle's so metabolically active that if you lose it, you will destroy your metabolism. And
Yeah.
so
Exactly.
what I did, what many of us done, I did a weight loss. I lost 100 pounds, mostly muscle, I'm sure, some fat, but probably a lot of muscle. Then I moved and I couldn't keep up with that diet anymore. And the only reason I kept up with that diet is because I had to go in and I had to weigh in every week in front of other people. And
Yeah.
so, like Biggest Loser style. And so I'm like, I found the one thing stronger than my desire to eat is my ego. And so I could not show up and gain weight at this thing. But once I moved, that was no longer an issue. And I lost 100 pounds in 3 months, and I gained it all back in like two or 3 months back. And I know I lost muscle and I regained fat. And that was the change. Even though I ended up at the same weight I was before, now my metabolism had significantly slowed down. And so what happens, I'm not a doctor, but what I think happens is that we lose weight, meaning we lose muscle, and we regain. We all have gone through these cycles. And we lose muscle and regain fat, lose muscle, regain fat.
Yeah.
And so you can end up the same weight at the end as you were at the beginning. But now, if you were eating more than, but now your calories have to be way less than they were in the past.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
could eat the same thing at the end and you're going to gain a pound, whereas in the previous time you could eat the same and not gain anything.
Yeah, because you
Yeah,
crushed all the muscle out.
Yeah, you have. And so
kills your metabolism.
this time, since the beginning, I've been very cognizant. Now, I didn't start weightlifting right away. I physically couldn't. I had to lose 7,500 pounds before I could start actually doing anything physically. But I started doing resistance training from home, like just body weight stuff, resistance bands. I'm a huge believer in. And then started going to a gym. And now I lift weights 4 days a week, 2 upper body days, 2 lower body days. I've maintained all my muscle. People are often shocked that I'm still about 300 pounds because most folks, their idea of 300 pounds is someone who's like, like my before picture.
Yeah.
But it's just because I've kept my muscle. And it doesn't make me some special, unique butterfly that's better than others. It just means that I kept my muscle.
Yeah.
And I think many people, when they started GLP-1, are not getting the best advice from their medical provider. Even my doctor, who's fantastic, didn't tell me to do resistance training at first. Yeah. I think that they're just not getting great advice, and they're enjoying the benefits of the weight loss, but eventually it catches up to you. Yeah, and so definitely. I've noticed recently, especially, a huge number of people talking about stalls or plateaus, or saying that the GLP-1 doesn't work for them anymore. And there's no science that says it stops working. But I have theories about it. And what I think is, I think a lot of people started a GLP-1 at the beginning of the year. And they got some results from it. And now, but they didn't do any resistance training. So they've lost their muscle. And now it doesn't work anymore because their metabolic rate's so low that there's no amount of food that they can eat where they're not going to start regaining the weight, or at least not losing anymore. And so it is a shocking number of people that are asking about this now relative to even 3 weeks ago. I wasn't getting the question as much as I am now. Yeah. And I think it's an unspoken, I don't think we're talking about this enough in our community. And it scares me for what the future is going to hold, because there are 20,000 people who are starting GLP-1 every week. Yeah. And we don't have a fitness industry designed to give those people the support that they need, that we need.
Exactly. We've had this conversation before on my channel. If these fitness gurus would stop pushing against GLP-1s and develop plans around them to help people maintain muscles, that would go a long, long way.
Absolutely. And there's not that many, but they're out there. These online fitness influencers who, refer to GLP-1 as the easy way out. And I get into like arguments with these people online. I used to argue politics online. Now I argue with fitness influencers online. And who say this is the easy way out. Yeah. So one, it's just wrong, because some of us have a disease called obesity and metabolic disorders and things that we need medical treatment to fix this medical issue. I'm a perfect example of what happens if you treat something medically that allows you to do all the things that they say we're supposed to do. Yeah. I do not credit my mindset or me for opening the door and changing my life. It was a medical treatment that did it for me. I'm not delusional. Yeah. And so, anyone who says it's the easy way out is, well, they're dumb. They're they're fitness coaches who are looking at a huge pile of cash in front of them, which is all of us in the GLP-1 space,
Yeah.
who are willing to invest resources into our health. And they're saying, I don't want to get involved with this. They're going to turn us away. And it's just
Yeah.
craziness.
Yeah. The market is
Uh,
wide open for them.
oh, there are so many, there's so much opportunity out there for coaches to provide support for folks, whether they be online coaches, trainers, people in the gyms, whatever. We have people who, for the first time, really want to improve their health and wellness. And now I think they're going to start hearing more and more, you got to keep your muscle.
Yeah.
And the last thing that they need is to see trainers who are talking down to us, or making us feel like this has to be painful or difficult. I also think it's crazy that you have some of these fitness coaches who have never been more than a pound overweight in their entire life, telling people like us that they know better than we do how to solve obesity
Yeah.
and insanity
Yeah.
and total lack of empathy. I think that those folks are a small minority, though, of what's
They're
actually out there.
yeah, they're loud though, like the Jillian
They're
Michaels of
they're
the world.
loud and they're making themselves known, and I guess I
Yeah.
appreciate when someone screams from the rooftop that they're an idiot, so I know
Yeah.
to avoid them.
Yeah.
But yeah, they not cool. But there's
Yeah.
a lot of the biggest fitness influencers in the industry they're on board with
Yeah.
GLP-1. They understand what this is about.
Yeah. All right. For me, my journey, when I was actively trying to lose weight, I was I found so much joy in that process, getting up and going to the gym every day. Excited to take my injection every week, seeing the results on the scale. So much so that when I finally hit my goal, my initial goal, I should say, I felt this sense of mourning that it was over. Like, what do I do now? When did you find journey in the process? I mean, when did you find joy in your process?
I had a realization. This is, I mean, just in May, I was on a podcast and I was interviewed on this huge podcast, and they flew me out there. I'm in California. I'm talking about all this stuff, and at the end, we get to the end of the interview, and I just said this out loud, and I had not, I my mind had never thought about this before, and I had not planned on saying this, and I had never even considered it. It was just I just started talking, and what I said is what I guess I'd realized without verbalizing, which is when we're trying to lose weight, when we're trying to get our health in order, we often think it's about a destination where we think once we get to pick your goal weight or your goal clothing size or whatever it is, whatever the reason is for someone doing this, whenever you think that when you get there, that's when you're going to have the better life, the happier life, when you get to the destination. And I realized along the way that the destination sort of became meaningless to me because every moment of this journey was better than the last.
Yeah.
Every week was better than the previous week. Every month was way better than the previous month. And certainly when you start talking years, now we're really talking differences.
Yeah.
And I realized that by finding joy and gratitude in how I was feeling then, I didn't need to get to the next goal to feel the joy. I didn't have to wait till the end to feel happy.
Yeah.
You can feel it now. And so I do a little bit of coaching with people. If certain followers of mine, if they reach out, I'll do a Zoom call with them. And so it's actually a common thing where when I'm talking to people, they'll have a goal weight, and I've never had a goal weight, but they'll have a goal weight, and I'll ask why they picked that weight, and it's always inevitably something like every now and then they say like that's the number that my BMI says I'm healthy at. Like, okay, well, I can't argue with that. But they will often say that's how much I weighed before I had kids, or at my wedding, or name whatever date there is in there. And they will say, I was happy at that weight. And I think that that is danger zone if that's you.
Yeah.
Because if you assign happiness to a number on the scale, let's say you get there and you're not happy,
Yeah.
then what happens? You've spent all of this time and effort and blood, sweat, and tears and money to get to that number,
Yeah.
to find out that you weren't happy because you were that number in the past. You were happy in the past and you happened to be that number at the time.
Yeah.
But now you've attached the number to the happiness.
Yeah.
And that's a dangerous game to play. Instead, I think we should try to find happiness not tied to that thing,
Yeah.
and instead find happiness tied to things we can physically do. Uh, we should not tie happiness to a number. We should not tie happiness to what people say to us. Because some people, unless someone tells them you look good, they feel like they look terrible. And it's just a dangerous thing to do. So I attach happiness to what can I do today that makes me happy today. And one of the ways I've done that, and I talk about my rules. So one rule I have is to celebrate every win. I have a notebook. It's like a physical paper notebook. I really encourage people to do this. That every time I have something good happen connected to my weight loss, I write it down. These are non-scale victories, but these are non-scale victories that could be tiny. And I write them down. I have over 1,000 written down now. And as you write those down, physically write them down and imprints it in your head that you're doing great.
Yeah.
And if you ever do have those rough moments, you can go back and read them. And it is awesome for me to go back and read the first page at this point. Because the first page of wins I put in there are things that I now do without even thinking. But at the beginning, they were worthy of being called out. So if you celebrate as you go and write those things down and go back and look at how far you've come, it sure makes it easier to be happy and joyful in the moment as
Yeah.
opposed to delaying the happiness for the future.
I love that perspective. And to those that are watching, Jamie's giving up some free game here. So soak it all in. I see you all in the chat. I will come over to you soon. If you do have a question, please put 3 Qs in front of it so I can easily find it when we get to the Q&A part. So earlier you said that you cheated death. How has that shaped your daily gratitude? I think you
Ooh.
kind of talked about this in spurts.
I don't get as upset about things as I used to. I think is probably one of the major factors for me. I when you spend your time like looking for stuff to or feeling gratitude, you start looking for things to be grateful for.
Yeah.
I've always been a pretty optimistic person, so it's not like I've totally changed my outlook on life. It's just easier to do now. But seeking out gratitude and having empathy for people who don't necessarily understand has been really important for me in my own gratitude journal, because you talked about the fitness folks who don't understand or the easy way out or whatever. They just don't understand our story.
Yeah.
And so I try not to be angry at them either, because I want empathy from them. So why shouldn't I give it to them? They don't understand my story. I don't understand theirs. Why should I treat them the way that I don't want to be treated? So I just try not to get too upset about anything and try to let things roll off me and focus more on what I have rather than what I don't have.
I love that. All right, I have 2 final questions. First one is, for people who feel stuck or overwhelmed right now, what's your message to them to help them start that first step?
Not to give up. That when I say that your life can get better in every way, I sincerely mean that. I was never going to talk about my story to anybody. I think even early on with the GLP, when I started losing weight, I told one friend about it. I didn't even tell my family about it. My sister, who'd been on GLP for 6 months, a year before I started, I didn't even tell her about it. And so I wasn't going to share my story about this, but I feel compelled to, because There are folks out there like me who've struggled with obesity either their whole life or many, many years and have tried and failed 1,000 times, just like me.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be an example for those folks to say that it really can get better. But it doesn't get better on its own. You have to take an active role in this stuff. And that could mean an active role talking with a medical professional, get tested for everything, see if you have medical conditions that are causing your issues that can be treated, putting a team together, having a good support system. I'm really fortunate. I have a few really good friends who've been there with me the whole time. I have a great physical therapist, a personal trainer, a doctor, and I'm sort of privileged that I have insurance that can pay for all that stuff or much of that stuff. But trying to find a team to help you along the way can be really critical for this as well. But don't give up. Life can get so much better. So even moving a little bit more feels better. And so if folks are stuck, I started by saying just pick one thing, keep a promise to yourself. Just start with one,
Yeah.
just one. And often people will ask the question like, how do you learn to love yourself, or how do you build trust in yourself? Like, how do you do this stuff? And the reality is you just have to start keeping promises to yourself. So don't make a promise to yourself that you can't keep, because
Yeah.
that's not going to build any trust. Make a promise you can keep.
Yeah.
And then once you prove to yourself you can keep it, make another one and another one and another one. And before you know it, you've built up your confidence to the point where you realize, oh, I can actually do this. It can
Yeah.
work this time.
Not that. All right. Last question for me, at least. If you could go back to 652-pound Jamie, what would you tell him right now?
God. Oh, no one's ever asked me. What would I say to my 650? Well, the people watching should know that clearly Charles did not send the questions ahead of time. Uh, I would tell myself to just try to not be so ashamed of yourself. Try not to be so ashamed of yourself. I was many of us who have major obesity issues are great actors. We're great actors. We're great at acting like stuff maybe doesn't bother us that much. And I think I was acting way more proud than I actually was. And I think if I were to say something to myself back then, other than the obvious, you'll get this, it'll get better. Other than that,
Yeah.
I'd probably tell myself that you don't have anything to be ashamed of. And you're worthy of love and respect and empathy and compassion, no matter what the size or shape of your body is. And everyone deserves that. Everyone deserves love, even if they think they're not worthy of it. And that's what I would tell myself.
That's great. I think that's a great answer to end it on. All right, you up for some Q&A from the
Yeah,
from
for
the
sure.
audience?
Yep.
All right, first order of business, I gotta give a shout out to our super chats.
Hey.
Downsizing Diva. She does have questions in here. She wants to know, what did you eat during your weight loss? Did you have any particular meal plan, and did you track your food?
Uh, well, thanks for asking the question. So I do weigh, measure, and track my food. I use an app called Chronometer. I started with MyFitnessPal, and then a friend of mine showed me Chronometer. I'm like, this is a million times better. So I weigh, measure, and track my food. At this point, it's very easy. It takes me 2 minutes a day. It was difficult at first to get used to. But I mean, when I say weigh, measure, and track, I'm talking everything. I weigh the pepper I put on my food because pepper has potassium. And so I want to know how much potassium I'm getting. Uh, so mostly whole natural foods. So a lot of eggs, egg whites, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, chicken, ground beef. I do a lot of rice, a lot of vegetables. I'm not afraid of carbs at all. People are sometimes shocked that I don't fast or that I eat carbs. No, I eat a
Yeah,
lot of carbs.
yeah,
And then I supplement with typically one protein shake a day and one protein bar a day. So this entire time, again, please don't copy me. Talk with a dietitian, nutritionist. I've eaten between I'll say about 25 to 2,800 calories a day. even at the very beginning. And so I've been able to maintain a pretty massive calorie deficit that way. But most of what I eat is protein. Like I was doing 250 grams of protein. I've recently dropped down to 220 because I just don't
Nice.
need the protein I had before. But that's what I eat, a whole natural food. That said, I still eat all the stuff I ate before. I'll still
Yeah.
go out and pizza and wings and burgers and beer. I still do all that, just not like
Nice.
I used to.
Nice. All right, we have another super chat here from B-Mail B. She just wants to say congratulations. She loves your focus and your focus on mindset. And you're an awesome example.
Well, thanks
Appreciate
so
you,
much,
Mel B.
Melby. Appreciate it. Yeah, so I did a live stream today, and someone said this wasn't just mindset; it was medication. And I'm like, medication is part of the mindset because part of the mindset is admitting when you don't know everything and need help. That's part
Yeah.
of mindset is
Yeah.
not thinking you know everything. You know.
Yeah. All right. Next question is from Mark Clem. If I remember right, you say you lift heavy. Can you explain a little bit about that? I think you said at one point you're going to bulk up as well.
Yeah, I sort of joke about what happens. So generally, you can't. It's hard to add muscle in a calorie deficit. Those of us who have obesity, it's a little bit easier to do at the beginning. I'm definitely reaching my plateau of muscle gain though. I when I say lift heavy, so I lift the traditional stuff you see in the gym. So deadlifting and bench pressing and overhead shoulder press and a bunch of other machines. There's probably about 26, 27 different lifts I do over the course of a week. And I use a progressive overload, which is where I lift as much as I'm able to until I fail. And then I add more weight to it and just and do fewer repetitions. And so that's what I talk about by lifting really heavy. And at some point, I won't be in a calorie deficit. And I imagine I will start putting on some muscle.
Yeah.
But it's not really critical. Like right now, I'm at a 24% body fat, which is shockingly low for someone who's just under 300 pounds. Um, but it's just, I've kept the muscle. So for me, it's not about aesthetics or necessarily even strength. I just want to keep the weight off. And I know for me, the key to keeping it off is muscle. I'll give you an example. You can have, if you have not done this, I encourage people to do this. You can have your metabolism tested. It's called indirect calometry, where you sit down. If I'm not sure if you've done this, Charles, but many doctors' offices will have this. You sit down and you breathe into a tube for 10 minutes. They plug your nose and you just sit there. You just breathe. That doesn't hurt anything. You just breathe in the tube. And it measures how many calories you burn every day at rest, your basal metabolic rate, which is how many calories you'd burn if you were in a coma.
Yeah.
And that number is dependent on the size of your body and your body composition, which is muscle versus fat. My basal metabolic rate is 3,900 calories a day. But if I go to the calculators online, it's 2,400 calories a day. So the fact that I've been able to keep this muscle means that I'm burning a ton of calories. And if you start throwing my activity on here, now I'm looking at 5,000 calories I'm burning every day. And that's not going to, that's number, it's probably dropped since then. It will start dropping pretty significantly here as I lose a little bit more weight. But it's an example of why it's important to lift weights, even from home. Because for me, it's just about keeping the weight off.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, I don't know what the future holds. We don't know what the future holds with GLP-1. I don't know if I'll lose access at some point financially. Who knows if these get taken off the market someday? Like, you just never know what the future holds. And a few years back, I saw this online on TikTok a little bit, but like Reddit or Facebook, people who'd been on a GLP-1 and they lost access because their insurance stopped covering. We're going to see the same thing in a few months. And they freak out. And I empathize. I'd freak out too. But they freak out because they say that they realize that moment they didn't change anything. They eat less, but they didn't change their lifestyle or their mindset in any way. And they try to do it like on the fly.
Yeah.
And so in my case, I'm planning on using a GLP the rest of my life. I assume I'm going to lose access at some point. And I want to have the best possible chance if that were to happen. I would regain for sure. I wouldn't
Yeah.
regain 350. But I just want to have the best chance I can.
Love that. All right. Next question is from the email B. How or where did you start your fitness journey? How did you get moving?
Uh, just a little bit of walking, Mel. When I first started, I could only walk 20 or 30 feet before I get out of breath. And so I just started walking a little bit more, 30 or 50 feet or 100 yards or whatever. Like I just start walking a little bit more. And that's how I started. And then I'd start working out from home. So the very first weightlifting I did after I started GLP-1 was body weight or box squats, body weight squats from home. And it's literally where you're just sitting here and you stand up and you
Yeah.
sit down and you just do
Using your
that.
body weight. Yeah.
That you're weightlifting because now you're lifting your body.
Yeah.
And those of us who have a lot of weight understand that's not easy to do. So it's a
Yeah.
workout. That's how I started my fitness journey. Just standing up and sitting down until I could do a little bit more. And then I eventually went to a gym. And I encourage others to just start where you're at. Don't start by thinking you have to change everything. Just stand up and sit down a few times during commercial breaks.
Yeah.
And you'll be surprised how quickly your body adapts and gets better at that stuff.
All right. Next question is from the mayor herself.
Hey, Mindy.
I know you work out, and I know you were a guest on Mind Pump. Do you follow one of their programs or something you created on your own?
I did not follow Mind Pump program. So what Mindy's talking about here is the podcast I was on is called Mind Pump, number one health and fitness podcast in the world. And they also sell weightlifting programs. I have not used any of those. So I got a book, I have it here somewhere, called The Muscle Ladder by Jeff Nippert. So I got a personal trainer who he made my initial program. When I say the program at the beginning is very basic, I'm talking basic, like 5 different things, and that's all I did. Every time I worked out, I did just these 5 basic
Oh,
things. And there were things that I could do at the time. Uh, but over time, as I got stronger and I started educating myself more, I started in conjunction with my trainer, sort of building my own and suggesting, like, hey, I want to do this. I read about this thing. I want to try this. And that's kind of what my programming is now. I'm actually in the process. Very soon, I'll be a certified personal trainer through the National Academy of Sports Medicine. I don't know if
I
I'm actually
love
going to
that.
train anyone. Yeah, I don't know if I'm actually going to train anyone or not, but I just have wanted to, I'm obsessed with this. So I wanted to learn about it. And I figure what better way than to become an actual personal trainer, at least have the knowledge of a personal trainer.
Yeah,
So at this point, I'm sort of building my own programs and it's fun to do. I really enjoy it.
love that. All right. And the next question is from MJ. What was the side effects as of now? Do you both think of staying on GLP-1? I think you mentioned that you're planning on staying on it
Yeah.
for
What
life.
side effects have you had, Charles?
The only thing that I've had consistently is constipation. So I just managed that with Mago 7 and Marilax. But there's some other things like the runny nose and occasionally being cold. Like when before we came on, I was telling Jamie how cold I was. I was getting the GLP-1 freezes, and I was shaking for most of the first part of the interview here. So those are the things that I experienced. I haven't had nausea or diarrhea or sulfur burps or anything like that. Knock on wood. But and I
You and I
do
are,
I do plan on staying on it for life as long as I have coverage or can afford it.
yeah. You and I are basically the same person, Charles. So I had nausea one time. The first time I took the injection, I had nausea for 3 hours. Didn't throw up or anything. Never came back. Doctors gave me Zofran, which I've never had to use. And then occasional constipation about once a month. Same thing as you. I pull out always have the Mago 7 handy. And then I also have a runny nose, which more and more people are acknowledging. And then I also get cold. I don't think the cold is a side effect of GLP for me. I think it's a side effect of losing 350 pounds, and I've
Yeah,
lost all my padding. I
yeah,
get cold really fast,
yeah,
and I sort of hate it. I don't like how cold I get now.
yeah. Yeah, it's a different experience. I'm the one turning the air conditioner up, so it's warmer in the house now. My wife used to complain about it. Complaining about it being too cold. Now I'm with hers. It's too cold. Um, I think that may have been the last question. Come on, guys. No more questions out there?
I just saw Darium in here say Jamie's going to have so many folks when he becomes a personal trainer. I don't know. Like I said, Darium, well, it's awesome seeing Darium in here. I met Darium in DC at the Obesity Action Coalition. He's a
Yeah.
really great guy. Uh, I want people who are thinking about going to a gym to know that it's very easy. How do I put this? We are judged when we're a larger body, we're judged all the time. And people look at us and we see how people stare, we see whispers, and we feel judged a lot. And so we assume, and because of that, we're often scared to go to a gym because we think that the people at the gym who are the most healthy, the most fit bodied, are going to be the most judgmental of us because they are the ones that are the most different
Yeah.
than us. But that is just not true. There's obviously some jerks out there, but the vast majority of the people in the gym, if they see you there, they're not thinking, what are they doing here? They're thinking, like, way to go, get after it. Like, they're proud of you. If they even think that, because most people in the gym are really just focused on themselves anyway, because they're there to make themselves better. The gym can be a really supportive environment. And so I'd really encourage people to I actually just made a post about this on all the socials a few days ago. Like, how do you find a gym and a trainer?
Yeah.
I think it's a critical thing to do for your long-term health to start working out if you're able to go to a gym. But to Darren's point, uh, I always thought like to be a really good trainer, you had to be like some young buff dude or gym bunny or whatever. And but I realized over time, like, and talking with my trainer and other people, that the people who are the most successful trainers in the gym are the folks that are a little pudgy, a little older, because they understand what someone's life is like
Yeah.
when they're dealing with weight issues. So if I ever do decide to start training, then I imagine my story will certainly help me be more empathetic to folks.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, I found another question and didn't have the cues in front of it. John Henri, my guy John Henri was on here a few
Hey,
weeks
John
ago.
Henry.
How do you build trust with yourself after letting yourself down?
You have to start keeping the promises to yourself. So, I mean, that's what's broken trust. A broken trust is broken promises. So, building trust is about keeping promises. So, you just have to make a promise to yourself that you know you can keep, not overly easy. Like, I don't make a promise to myself that, like, I'm going to drink 1 glass of water a day because that's easy. But when you make a promise to yourself that takes a little bit of work, but you keep it, that's how you begin building trust
Yeah.
with yourself.
Yeah.
And that's why you should only do one at a time and build upon it, just like a habit. You should not promise a whole bunch of stuff to yourself that is not going to be feasible to do, because then you're just going to, again, destroy the trust that you have with yourself that you're trying to rebuild.
Definitely. All right, we got some more questions coming in. My guy G's, he wants to know, do you have plans on loose skin removal? I saw a video the other day that you put up about your compressions to
Yeah,
hide the loose skin. And I think you do have plans eventually. You talk about that?
I do. Yeah. As of now, I'll have a skin removal early next year, probably around February. Uh, but that's sort of a moving target for me. The reason is that, so I have a doctor's appointment soon. I'm at the age where potential testosterone issues might exist. I'm almost 50 now. And so I want to get that before I lock in any date. I want to figure out, do I need to have a testosterone replacement therapy at some point? I don't think I do. But if I do, I don't want to start that and then have skin removal right away, because that could change how my body is composed. And so I'd want to give that some time to see what happens with my body before skin removal. But yeah, I'll definitely do it. Certainly next year, I'll have it done. I'm really excited about it. Uh, the skin is mostly where it bothers me most is around my waist, around my stomach and my thighs. I have some on my chest, my neck. Although to be honest with you, I think my neck is tightening up, which is wild that that's happening. And then my arms, but I'll have the arms done at years later, if at all. So yeah, obviously skin removal. I'm excited for it. A little scared. I'm excited to see what I have underneath all of this.
Nice.
When I've gone to a plastic surgeon for a consult, he thinks there's 20, 25 pounds of skin on me.
Wow.
The more weight I lose, the less that will be. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited.
All right. And Mel wants to know, would you do anything differently?
Uh, no, I don't think so. Not in the last couple years. I mean, not that I've done anything perfect. I've made tons of mistakes, but so I'm a people leader. I've managed people for years at work, and my um, one of my views as a manager is to let people who work for me fail as often as possible.
Yeah.
I don't let them fail in a way that's going to like destroy their career or make them look or be humiliated or hurt their credibility. But if someone's going to fail in a way that they're going to have to like do more work or whatever, I'm fine with it. Because when I look back over my life, it's those failures when I learn the most. And that's applicable for most of us. And so I have had failures throughout the last 3 years, but those are the times I learned stuff.
Yeah.
And that's now the content that I create is taking those things that I learned and sharing them with others. The only thing that, and I don't even regret being 650 pounds, to be honest with you, because if I had not had that story, I wouldn't be here talking to you or talking to the people I'm talking to on social media or that see my podcast interviews or whatever. And I, I am sure that there's a few people out there who've heard my story who've been able to start changing their life because of it. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
And so if I had not been 650 pounds, who knows if there's would have been someone in my place who could reach them.
Yeah.
Just like there are people that will never connect with me or
Yeah.
understand me, but who connect with someone else who hear your
Yeah.
story, Charles, or anyone else who's in the chat.
Yeah.
And so I don't even regret being 650 pounds. The only thing that if I were to go back and change anything was in 2021. It was my first flight during COVID. COVID was about a year in. So this was in May 2021. And I was on a flight from Seattle, where I was living, to North Dakota. And I was next to this woman. And of course, I was huge. And all of us who are bigger people know that there is almost nothing worse than flying. That is
Yeah.
peak terror for us to have to fly. And I was next to this woman. I felt so bad. I was like crowding her. And I apologized. She was very kind. And I don't know exactly how we got into it, but she brought up my size, or I brought up my size. And she said that she was a doctor. She was an endocrinologist. And keep in mind, this was now May of 2021. Ozempic was just about to come out. And she gave me her card and said that she's like, there's these new class of medications that are coming out that I think are going to rival bariatric surgery. And when you get back to Washington, give me a call and I'll talk to you about them. And I never did.
Mm.
I didn't call her. And had I done that, I would have started a GLP probably 2 years earlier. I would have
Oh,
been one of the
wow.
very first people.
Wow.
Uh, and so even that, I have to forgive myself because I didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
I keep meaning to like look her up to tell her, hey, it worked. I mean, later than we wanted, but it
Yeah.
still worked.
All right. And the last question comes from Michael. He wants to know, what would you say to someone who's thinking about going on a GLP-1, but maybe on the fence?
You owe it to yourself to at least explore it as an option. And so I really encourage people to talk with a medical provider to see what's right for them. I kind of compare the two. If you want to think about like a before picture and after picture. And often if people are worried about going on GLP-1, it's because they are either worried about the side effects, legitimate concerns. They're worried about having to stay on it forever. I mean, all that kind of stuff. But you should look at your size now and your own weight history and consider the potential consequences and side effects of your size. and talk with your doctor. Like, what are the potential cardiovascular or cancer or mobility or whatever risks at your size? And then look at a GLP-1 and ask yourself, what are the potential side effects or consequences or risks to this? And what are the benefits? And weigh those two against each other. I sincerely mean this, that a GLP-1 is the best thing I've ever done for myself, ever. Second place isn't even close. It is the best thing I've ever done for myself. I've extended my life, I believe, by 30 years or 40 years. But more than that, my life is significantly better in every way in terms of mentally, physically, all of that. And so that doesn't mean that the GLP-1 is right for everyone. There are plenty of people it's not the right choice for. And so, Michael, I don't know if that's you or not, or anyone who's listening to this. I can't make that decision for you. But you should have an honest conversation with a medical provider who understands GLP-1 and and ask them to be honest with you about what your potential consequences of your size are. And ask yourself if the risk of a GLP-1 are worth solving those things or not. And if they are, start a GLP-1. And if they're not, look for another solution.
Love that. Jess popped a question in.
Nice.
Same question as I asked. My final question to you. I think he popped in a little late. So,
Oh,
but
yeah.
he's asking if you went back and told and saw a version of yourself on the beach, what would you say to them today?
Oof. I'm going to go back to that beach in December, by the way, because I'm doing a road trip, a month-long road trip around the country. And I'm going to go to that exact spot where I fell. And I'm going to walk out to the spot that I fell and sort of feel what that feels like. Um, I mean, what would I say to myself on the ground on the beach? Get your ass up. No. I would, I don't know, just say I love you. Like, I love myself. I love myself at my heaviest size. Uh, my me at my biggest, the hardest day I have now, and maybe this is what I would tell him. The hardest day I have now, like the day where I do a 10-mile walk and I lift weights and I do a bunch of other stuff, like the hardest day I have now is easy, easy compared to an average day back then. So if I were talking to myself at my most embarrassing moment in my life, I would just try to tell myself that you got to stick with this because you will never have a moment like this again.
Yeah.
And you'll eventually look back at this moment and realize this is the moment that played a role in saving your life, even though it sucks right now. So that's what I would say, I think.
And he says the same thing that I was going to ask. I'm going to tell you to do. Go back to that spot and lay down on the beach and get up on your own.
We'll see how I'm feeling that day. But yeah, I'll definitely go out there. I'm guessing I'll get on the beach as well. The thing is, I want to walk on the sand and see what the sand is like first. It's also going to be December, so I don't know exactly what the temperature is going to be like.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm looking forward to that moment for sure.
Awesome. Well, Jamie, thank you for joining us tonight. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come on. Your story is amazing. It's inspirational to so many people. So I think the more opportunity people get to hear it, the better. So I appreciate you jumping on. And
Well, thanks for having me, Charles. I really appreciate
if you want to follow Jamie, I have linked his socials in the description of this video. He's on TikTok, Instagram, and now on YouTube. He's starting to post content on YouTube as well. So if you're not following him, please go ahead and do so. He has some great content. He even breaks out the whiteboard and breaks things down for you. It's great. It's really great content, always inspirational. So please give him a follow. I don't have a guest lined up for next week, so I don't know if I'll have a show for next week, but I'm working on getting something lined up. But I appreciate everyone joining us tonight. And shout out to our new members, Darian, Paul on Wheels, and Grant. And thank you for Darian for being the moderator in the chat tonight. Appreciate you all. Thank you all and have a great night.
Have a good night.